IT, forging IT security experts. Secure Ninja.
Hey everyone, it's Alicia Webb with SecureNinjaTV. Now, we will continue our coverage of RSA next week, but today we wanted to bring you an episode covering a recent development in the entertainment hacking industry. Now, I'm coming to you without the SecureNinjaTV film crew, so I apologize for the video quality. But since there have been so many instances of celebrities being hacked this week, I absolutely wanted to catch up with Ralph Echemendia as soon as possible. He is the founder and CEO of Red E Digital. He's one of our favorite hacker consultants to Hollywood films, and he keeps us up to date on all the hacking in the media issues. Hi, Ralph. How are you?
Hey, Alicia. How are you? I'm doing great.
I'm doing great as well. So good to see you.
Always good to see you guys, too.
Definitely. And it has been a busy week for you. Lots of stuff going on. Tell us about what's going on.
Well, you know, it all started a few weeks ago with the New York Times and the Washington Post hack and those type of hacks in the media. Of course, Mandiant's report on the Chinese hacking situation. And then most recently, in the last couple of days, you've seen a lot of the news come up around Jay-Z being hacked, Beyonce, personal and financial data of a number of very well-known people. You know, most actually today, Mitt Romney was added to that, and I think it was Tiger Woods, a couple of others that were added to the list here of secret files. I've put up here the site, if you can look at it. This is the actual website in question, expose.su, which houses this information. Now, again, of course, most of these people have not, said that this is in fact true. This is their real information or real Social Security numbers. But here's a list of all the different people, and if we go to any one of those, you get, their home address and Social Security number, as well as, in some cases, access to their entire financial, background.
Basically, someone has built this website, and its sole purpose is to expose the secret documents of celebrities and politicians.
Yeah, let's say, private documents, right, of certain politicians and certain celebrities.
Interesting. Do we have any ideas of who might be doing this and why?
Well, the only, right now, the truth is no, not really. Interestingly enough, if we look at the source code on this page, you'll find a link to a YouTube video, which is just the music for, what's the name of the show, Dexter, which you don't actually see when you go to the page. So I'm not sure what that means, right? Maybe they're a Dexter fan. Secondly, if we look at the registration for this domain, expose.su, SU is a Soviet Union domain. It's a top-level domain for the country. So if we look at it here, it is registered to a private person, and then there's an email address here that goes to another person. In other words, the registered email address is expose.su at allperson.ru. RU is also another domain for Russia. So both of the domains in question are in the Soviet Union or Russia. That's about it. Is that just to lead people on in the wrong direction? Is that really because the hacker's in Russia? Who really knows? However, the hosting for this website is actually Cloudflare out of San Francisco. So when you go to this website, it's ultimately landing on a server that sits in San Francisco. As of right now, but again, they can move this around if Cloudflare brings them down, for example. Obviously, all the legal authorities and investigative authorities are involved in looking into this. Again, because no one, of course, is going to come out and say whether or not that's their real Social Security numbers that they put up. It seems like this is real information, but of course, there's been no confirmation on either side, and no hacker group has taken like Anonymous or any of those type of guys said that this is their doing. So,
and normally amongst those sort of hacktivists, they do take credit for it because they like to show their skills. They like to show that they.
Typically, that's you'll hear about that right away. It typically comes with the website that we were involved. But no, like I said, no one's really directly taking credit for it right now.
Do you think this is like a new hacker on the scene, someone that's gonna, prove that they can do stuff and then come out as a new kind of person?
I don't know. It's 50-50. I think this is the type of hack, if you want to call it that. It's not necessarily, the most advanced, at least not from the looks of it, because with certain pieces of information, any one of us can pretty much run a background check on anyone else, including Michelle Obama, for that matter, which is one of the people whose information is up here, going all the way back to the White House, right? So whether or not that's true information or not, it's not really that hard to run a background check or a credit check on someone. That's also not going to bring up any red flags in the web. So that's the kind of information they've exposed, which is still private information. However, it's not email communications between Michelle Obama and the president. That would be quite different. That would mean that they somehow hacked Michelle Obama's computer. In this case, it's just information that's been hacked and not necessarily an individual, right? So. Right.
So it's just like an information leak, basically.
Absolutely. That's exactly what this is. This is an information leak. And so, yeah, it does fall in the category of a hack. The interesting part is that, again, the grouping of these people is kind of eclectic, if you will. And then the other part of it, too, is, the addition of people over the last 48 hours is that they've been adding, like I said, Tom Cruise and Bill Gates and, Tiger Woods, R. Kelly. Those are some of the ones they added in the last 24 hours.
You can't help but notice that a lot of these celebrities, politicians, without any of my personal opinions being involved here, a lot of them are kind of either have committed crimes. Jerry Sandusky's on here, R. Kelly.
Yep.
Mike Tyson on here? Well, anyway. And then the link to Dexter. Dexter is a vigilante killer. Not that this guy's a killer, but I wonder if the motive is something personal against these individual names.
I definitely think there's definitely something there when it comes to the motive. I think that all of these people have, I guess, there's questionable items around them, and that's one thing they have in common. Going all the way to the chief of the LAPD, and the head of the FBI and things like that, which I think I think it goes to show the first point that they're trying to prove here is that no one's untouchable and anyone can be exposed regardless of how famous you are or how powerful supposedly you are, and how easily that power in the online world can be taken away or given to others as a result that the power is entirely based on a number numbers and quote unquote identity. I mean, it's not exactly easy to be an identity thief and take over Jay-Z's life right now, because kind of everybody knows what Jay-Z looks like. But technically speaking, the information that they've exposed here is the kind of information that would allow an identity thief to steal that person's identity and be able to do whatever. I mean, this is all financial records. They have every answer you could give the bank and to every question they could ask about verifying your identity is online now for these very well-known celebrities and politicians.
Right. That's a good point. And the fact that they are celebrities and politicians, you'd think those individuals would have even better security and have people watching their credit report and making sure they were safe, as opposed to the average American. So to get
that's an expectation, right? That I think we all tend to have about or have this idea in our heads that if it's the FBI or it's the any number of three-letter acronym agencies, or in this case famous people, that they're in some way not the same as we are when it comes to the issue of hacking. And the point is they are exactly the way we are as far as being as vulnerable as we are to the same type of information leakage that can happen. These leaks, again, it's hard to put your finger on the cost associated with these leaks, because now, unfortunately, is where a lot of these folks, if this information that's online is real, a lot of these folks will now be like, well, what do we do now? And then run to agencies and lawyers that charge an arm and a leg, and now have to spend a lot of money to secure their future which unfortunately is not. It's just the nature of the cyberspace world is reactive for the majority of people and companies. And even though we're all getting better in educating, training people more into it, and getting better equipment and better, as far as better products and newer products and so on installed into certain environments and all that kind of spending money, bottom line, on security, at the end of the day, the weakest link is people. The weakest link is the human factor. And so no matter how much technology you put in place, all it takes is one human to make a tiny little mistake and blow away all those millions of dollars of technical investment, if you will. So this goes directly to that, because this is just information vulnerabilities that could have been obtained in so many different ways that it leads us to that question: how was this information obtained, and just how far down the rabbit hole has this person gone into each one of these individuals?
Okay, so Ralph, you've got this website pulled up. Show us exactly what's going on and what this person has done, the secret files.
All right, so again, none of this information has been confirmed as far as by anyone, whether these are actual numbers, but it does sure seem like this is real information. So, we'll pick anyone here. Of course, we'll pick somebody like Jay-Z, and let's look at Jay-Z, his actual real name, Sean C. Carter, with Social Security number information here. As you can see, date of birth, actual address, his last and former addresses are all in here as well. And then a link to the credit report. So we can look here and see his credit report. Pull up in a second from Equifax. And, you have, again, his debt, mortgage payments, $816,000. That's his mortgage payments balance.
Mine's about the same.
So all kinds of stuff here, as you can see.
Wow.
Again, you can see this for any number of different people. All these folks that I mentioned before. Let's look at Tom Cruise or Bill Gates, for that matter. These are some of the ones that were added in the last 24 hours. Britney Spears and Sarah Palin, Hulk Hogan, Donald Trump. Same thing. Want to look at Bill Gates' credit report, date of birth, his address, his last few addresses. All that kind of information that typically, you only typically need two pieces of identification. For example, if you were to call your bank and say, I need to get my balance, or they need to somehow confirm that it's you on the phone, all you would need is a Social Security number and a date of birth and an address.
Wow.
Those are the three things. So those three pieces of information right there would allow anyone to get the credit reports. So how that information may have been obtained is kind of a good question too. Here's credit report from Mr. Bill Gates. You can see he doesn't owe very much. Again, you have all this information for all these different people. Of course, Michelle Obama being, again, I think another one to kind of make a point, which is that even the president's wife is not going to be, unseen by the hackers. We got some little background music on some of these pages, so don't be surprised if this pops up. And phone numbers. You see telephone numbers here.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Her photo is an "I love Michelle."
Yeah.
I noticed that the other photos seem to be a little bit unflattering of the celebrity.
Well, and it says here, if you notice, blame your husband. We still love you, Michelle. In this little crowd. So it's kind of just real interesting here. Of course, the feds are on it, and everybody's trying to figure out exactly what's going on. But again, just in 48 hours or so that this has been up, more and more names are being added to the list.
So besides the basic attempts at getting the Social Security number, calling, pulling the credit report, just basic kind of social engineering over the phone, how do you think that this stuff was obtained?
I think for the most part that's the case. I think there may be, because the kind of information varies from name to name here. So I think for the most part that was the case. I think the concern is that whether service providers to these folks may have been hacked, and that's how some of this information was obtained, such as Social Security numbers and such, that's where it leads to the question of whether or not anything from, say, an AT&T account, or your phone service, or some other type of service that you're using, cable, whatever. Any number of different things may have been hacked, and that's where they got this information from. Again, that's just speculation. That's one of the things that's been thrown out there. The other is it could be via a spear phishing attack, where email was sent and they were fooled into giving up passwords, allowing them to log into others, into existing sites such as Chase, their Chase account, or Bank of America account, that sort of thing. Because on some folks, there's screenshots. On some folks, there's HTML. Like they saved the actual pages in HTML, and I think there's a couple of them that are just screenshots of what they were looking at, which is a little bit different in each case with each name. So again, there could be any number of different ways that was obtained, the most common usually being that of spear phishing, or like I said, some sort of breach into some database of where these users were members of.
Yeah, I just can't picture Beyonce falling for a spear phishing attempt.
I don't, and again, it's not. That's the other thing about it, is that in fact, in most of my cases, the issue is that in most of the cases I've dealt with when it comes to the phishing attacks, it isn't that these high-named individuals or very well-known individuals are the ones that are falling for it. It tends to be more that maybe a manager fell for it, or an agent, or someone who is in their day-to-day operations of their business. Right. They fall for it. In fact, in most cases, these people, while they do have their own email accounts and they do check their own email and all that, have assistants who also have access. So, and their assistants read their email and so on and so forth. So, that's also been the case where they fall for it. It doesn't take much really to fall for that, and anyone can fall for that, really. But again, that's just one of those that's directed directly towards the human factor, and things like this that we're doing right now, and the more that this becomes visible in the news and talked about, the more that the general population, which everyone uses computers today, the more they will be aware to be looking for these sort of tricks.
Now, Ralph, for those in our audience who are less skilled with security and personal information, what can a person do to protect this sort of information so their stuff doesn't get leaked? It's unfortunate that common sense is not as common as it should be, because it's really, a lot of it has to do with common sense. I mean, if you don't recognize, for example, with the phishing stuff, if you don't recognize the email or anything at all looks odd to you, don't click on anything. Don't follow any links. Don't. For the most part, most of the people you communicate on a daily basis with online or off, you typically tend to have their phone numbers, and if anything comes to mind, it's a question, it's best just to double check, because it's real easy to fall for it. That's one of the things to do, is really just kind of be aware that these things are happening, and that you should be watching out for that kind of trickery online. Especially ending up at sites, even like sites like this exposed site. One of the questions that was posed in one of my past interviews was about, well, can this website potentially install bad code onto your computer? It can potentially. I mean, we've all looked at it and seen that it doesn't have any of the elements that would potentially add malware to your computer. But again, those are the types of things. It's good to ask those questions and go out and seek an answer. You have access to Google to ask these there's a number of different forums and places online. You can also certainly, drop a question over at our website if you wanted to. We just started, even though our focus at Ready Digital is really working with the film studios to prevent leaks while films are in the process of production. But while that's our focus, and our service offerings are really around that, we certainly want to try to bring awareness and help as many people as we can. So I started a little news section, so red-edigital.com, and if you click on the news section, I'm basically just regurgitating a lot of what's happening in the news, and especially as it relates to the entertainment industry. So you can certainly check there, and you can hit the contact us, and certainly if you wanted to drop a message. Awesome. Yeah, the Ready Digital site is a great fusion between Hollywood and IT security. It's interesting because films, they do have problems with being leaked. I mean, everyone wants to know what's going to happen in the next movie, and if they can get their hands on a script, I mean, that's something that needs to be protected.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an interesting other conversion going on between just that and films trying to make, the hacking elements of it become more realistic too. So as you know, we've worked with Oliver Stone recently on that, and it's just interesting all around how the whole digital landscape in Hollywood is changing Hollywood.
Definitely. Yeah, our audience at home should definitely check out the Ready Digital site, follow the news section if they want to keep up to date on what's going on. And also check out the other interviews Secure Ninja has done with Ralph Echemendia. We've got some interesting stuff about his being a hacker consultant on the Savages film. We talked to him at Black Hat last year. And we hope to talk with you again in the future, Ralph.
Absolutely, Alicia, anytime. Always lovely talking to you.
Definitely. We'll see you at Black Hat this year. I'm sure we'll do some interviews then.
Absolutely.
And everyone at home, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, our footage of RSA will resume next week. And until then, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can keep up with everything that SecureNinjaTV is publishing. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Alicia Webb.
Secure Ninja Shorts are brought to you by SecureNinja.com, a world leader in information security and IT training and certification. Our master instructors will help build you into a highly skilled and marketable security professional. SecureNinja.com, forging IT security experts.